Hello everyone, have a pleasant day. This is Dr. Srimati from Dr. Ambedkar Global Law Institute, Tirupati. Today we are going to see a labor caste. So what is labor caste? Let's see about the introduction. So the labor caste is the second major element of caste. As you know well, okay, elements of caste: material, labor and overhead. So this is about the second major element of caste. So here we say it also forms a significant part of the prime caste as well as total caste. So here this, as you know, this labor caste is associated with a human being. So this is about this association makes it significant item of caste, not only because of huge wage bill of modern organization, but also because the labor caste has certain special features whether other elements like materials do not possess, because the human element makes the control of labor caste very difficult, because the labor is a perishable commodity. So once once it is unused, we cannot recover it, and the labor caste is bound to increase the cost of productive capacity. So we can say that in many intense labor can achieve wonders in regard to the amount and quality of work which has been performed by them. So however, this labor caste is a complex, and therefore it requires a systematic planning and control. So what are the types of labor? So there is about two types of labor, as you know, just like materials. So the labor is also of two types. The first one is direct labor and second one is indirect labor. So what is direct labor is? Here this is about the labor which is directly engaged in production of goods or services. Okay, so that we can conveniently allocate the cost to the job or process or to the commodity of unit. Say for example, take an example of bricks making. Okay, so the labor who has been engaged in making the bricks, the cost which has been paid to them is conveniently allocated to the number of bricks which has been made by them. So we can easily say this caste is direct labor caste. So what is indirect labor? So here this type of labor which is not directly engaged in production of goods or services, but which indirectly helps the direct labor engaged in production. Example is the dress machines, the supervisors, and then sweepers, foreman, then watchman, timekeepers in industries, then cleaners, repairs. Those are the people, those who are not directly engaged in production, but these people will help the direct labor, in order to produce the product or commodity or to make the services. So these people we say as it is about indirect labor. And here, as we mentioned, it may not always be possible to classify the individual worker as direct labor or indirect labor. So for example, the worker who is engaged in actual production may sometime be required to do the supervisory work also. Okay, and the time which has been devoted to actual production should be treated as direct labor, and the time which has been spent for supervisory work should be taken as an indirect labor. So we should divide it according to that. So that there is about a distinction between direct and indirect labor must be observed, because the payment of direct labor is a direct expenditure and it's a part of prime caste. So whereas the payment of indirect labor is an item of indirect expenditure, and it has been shown under the works caste, that is factory caste. So they either in factory caste or in office and administrative or under the selling and distribution expenditure according to the nature or time which has been spent by the indirect worker. As you know, while you are preparing the caste sheet, the manager who has spent part of the time in factory and then the balance of the time in office and selling and distribution expenditure department, that could be divided accordingly. So like that it should be divided. So here the labor cost is, so it represents various items of expenditure which has been incurred by the worker, by the employer, and which include the following. So what are the labor cost is? So it can be divided into two ways, that is monetary benefits or fringe benefits or labor related cost. So what is monetary benefits? That is the benefit related to the value of money, that is paying money, that is basic wages, dearness allowance. Then employers contribution to provident fund and the employees contribution to employees state insurance, that is on ESI scheme, and then production bonus and profit bonus, and then old age pension, and then retirement gratuity. So all these are the monetary benefits which has been given to a labor. Then what are the other benefits? That is fringe benefits or labor related cost. The example, the subsidized food or subsidized housing, then subsidized education to the children of workers, then medical facilities, holidays pay, and then recreational facilities. All these are the facilities which has been available other than the monetary benefits. Okay, so this is about allowable to the employees. So these fringe benefits are indirect form of employees compensation. So it's not a direct compensation, it is an indirect compensation to the employees. So total of these benefits given to worker should be sufficient enough to attract and retain the labor force in the organization. So we can say in another word, the work among the workers should be created with the consequent increase in efficiency. So this thing will be done with this labor cost, that is monetary benefits and the fringe benefits. Let us see the remuneration and incentives which has been paid to a worker. So here the remuneration to worker is the most complex problem in democratic countries like India, because there is no single method of wage payment which is acceptable both to the employers and the workers. So here wage means that is providing income for the worker, and it become only the source of income which is determines their economic survival in the society. So that is the workers are try to force the employer to follow a method of wage payment which entitles them higher wages. And the amount of wage payable to workers determines the attitude towards their work and the employer. So that is on the other hand, on the side of employers, here the anxiety to keep down the labor cost and try to pay very less. So this out of those two risks, that is conflicting situation, this is about a rift goes on between the employer and the workers. So how to solve this complex problem? The method of wage payment should be adopted in by which reduces the labor cost per unit, and at the same time the workers are paid a reasonable amount for their work. So here that is not only paying a less wage to worker will reduce the cost of production, but at the same time paying the higher wages will reduce the cost of production. How it is? That is, the high wages may lead to low cost of production with the following reasons. How it is possible? That high wage gives an incentive to worker to become efficient and produce more, because it increased production will increased to the lower labor cost per unit. So here the high wages will help in recurring the most suitable workers. So here when the suitable workers is recruited and allotted, then the productivity will increase, so that the cost of labor will automatically decrease. So there will be a less of production due to a less labor turnover. So here the labor force will remain satisfied with high wage and will not like to leave the organization. This is about the first important thing. And the next one is it increase in production will result in a lower the fixed cost per unit. So thus the cost of production per unit will come down automatically. So this is the reason why the employers they try to pay the higher wages to retain the skilled and efficient labor in an organization. So there are certain essential features of a good wage system. So what are the essential features? So this system should be fair both to the employer and the employee. And then the worker should be assured of a guaranteed minimum wage at a satisfactory level irrespective of the work done by him. And then the workers should be paid according to their merits. That is, the efficient workers should be able to earn more wages compared to the inefficient workers. And then the skilled workers should be paid more as compared to the unskilled workers. So here the skilled workers are compensated for the effects put in by them to acquire the skill. And then the system should be ensure equal pay for equal work. And then that is good wage system should be flexible to allow necessary changes which may arise. And then this is about the system should be has to minimize the labor turnover, absenteeism and late attendance and then among the workers. And then the system should not violate any local or national trade unions agreements. And then it should keep in view the wage rate in the same area of industry. So where the similar nature of work has done. And then in order to protect the real wages and the level of money and wages should be adjusted to price changes. And this is about an important thing. And then the system should be correlated to the capacity of the organization to pay. And then the wage system, that is the method, should be simple and capable of being understood by the workers. And then the workers and the union of workers should be adequately informed about the procedures used to establish the wage rate, so that there may be no cause of suspicion in the minds of workers. So we can conclude that the system of wages should ultimately result in higher production, improve the quality of the output and contented labor force. And then the system of wage payment. So there are the two principal wage system. First one is the payment on the basis of time spent in the factory irrespective of the amount of work done by. So this is about this method is known as time wage system. And another method is there, that is payment on the basis of work done irrespective of time taken by the worker. So this method is called piece rate system. There are other methods also called premium plans or bonus or profit sharing schemes are used with either of the two principal method of wage payment. So these are the things which we are going to see in the next class. Until the next, it's bye from Srimati. Thank you.